You know, people always feel guilty by the end of the day for being not productive or motivated enough. We are so afraid that we'll be judged as lazy as what our parents always used to describe us back then.
But this is not our problem. Everyone thinks productivity starts from motivation, but there is something that we cannot control. And in fact, even the top 1% of the successful people in the world, they don't feel ready all the time. But they get started to move before their brain catches up.
I used to procrastinate for hours, thinking that I always need the perfect mood or perfect time to get started. However, I have found a much better way to beat this. So if you ever feel stuck, unmotivated, or just can't get yourself started, this video is going to change the way you think about getting things done.
If you are new here, welcome to the Future Builders Podcast by Empowered Liion. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Ballerina. We quit a corporate job and build a lifestyle business that gives us control over our time, income, and freedom.
Now we are sharing how you can do it as well.
Yay! Actually, everyone is not perfect, so do us, correct or not?
Definitely.
So whenever I reach office, right, I will always procrastinate for hours. So just sitting there, acting busy, seems like I'm doing something, but actually I'm not. So I just scroll TikTok, scroll Instagram, Facebook, everything, until I really get bored of what I'm doing right now. Then only I get started to do my work. Then by the end of the day, I just get maybe 1 or 2 tasks done. Then I just call it a day. I lie to myself that, I've been trying very hard to get things done. I get at least 2 tasks done, so I'm productive enough today. But is that really enough?
Then you are like lying yourself that no, at least I got 2 things done. I didn't did 5 because today is not my mood.
Definitely. So actually it's not really enough if you really want a productive work in your day. However, I've discovered this because we always don't have enough motivation to start a day, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because we feel so lazy every time we wake up. We are not waking up by ourselves, but we are disrupted by the alarm.
Yes.
So whenever the alarm rang, then it would be so annoying because it is so noisy that you don't want to wake up, but you just have no choice. You have to wake up. So actually, in this video, we are going to cover from the start of the day until the end of the day, because in between there will be some details that you need to take note of for you to beat that procrastination. So actually, how do we get started? As what I mentioned just now, we need motivation to start work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, we don't have that motivation.
Yeah, because we are tired, or maybe because we are not happy for the day, we feel stressful.
Yes, when you think of your to-do list, oh my God, there are hundreds of things that are waiting for you to finish them, but you just don't have the right mood to start. So here is the biggest misunderstanding, is that the productivity cycle, right? It goes by this way, from motivation to work. Then after you finish your work, you feel good. Then you have even more motivation.
Mm-hmm.
However, how to beat the first one, since we don't have motivation, right? Actually, is to start with action, not motivation.
Okay, when you say start with action, right? But no, I just don't have that mood to do right now. So what can I do about taking action?
So maybe the first thing that we are coming to office today is to record this podcast. However, we just don't have the right mood to record right now because early in the morning, we don't want to talk. So we can actually break the task down into a smaller part. For example, we want to record a podcast, correct or not? Then we need to do a lot of setup things before we record this podcast.
Yes.
We can break the task down instead of just saying that I need to record a podcast. However, we can tell ourselves that, okay, we just need to switch on a laptop. We just want to set up the setting here. to make sure we get the small things done. So whenever we complete one small thing, our brain will automatically set us we have completed one task. So we'll have a small amount of dopamine released by our hormone, then we'll then move on to the second part, which we don't think we need a lot of mood to do this because we always have that motivation since we just finished the first part.
Meaning to say, by recording a podcast, like doing the setting is the easiest part of all. So once we've done the easiest part, which is setting up a camera, the place, then we have got this small excitement to do the next thing, which is to start reading the script to see what we're going to say for the day.
Yes, but it is not necessary to start from the easiest part. The whole idea is not about getting the easy things done. However, it's about breaking down the complicated part. For example, you need to get a very complicated task done. However, in between there are a lot of parts, right? For example, if you want to read an article, you need to switch on your laptop, you need to open the app, you need to write something down, maybe start from the title. So don't necessarily to start from the easiest part, but what's the first step that you need to do? So you just break one task into a lot of smaller tasks. Because when you start doing the first part, then your brain will automatically lead you to the end point.
Got it.
So it's something that called the Zeigarnik effect. So it suggests that your brain will urge you to finish the unfinished task.
Oh, it actually recalls me of something. Just a few years ago, I've read a famous author about how he wrote like huge amount of articles within a short time. And then what he said was this. He said if he wanted to write a book, and then there are a lot of chapters, right, for the book. So what he did was not like, oh, today I just write chapter 1, tomorrow I continue with chapter 2 and 3. What he did was that he wrote the chapter 1 until just a few sentences before it finished. Yeah, so chapter 1 is not finished. So he leave it until the next day, then he continues with that a few sentences of chapter 1. And because he has already started doing the work, so he will continue to move on to chapter 2 and 3 and so forth. So the thing is, he don't finish one thing first. He just left it half finished, and then he has got the motivation to move on.
That's what exactly the Zeigarnik effect suggests. Also, the effect suggests that those unfinished tasks will actually create a mental tension. I'm not really sure whether those who are listening right now have encountered this experience before. You have some unfinished tasks which the due date is coming soon, then you still haven't got it done. However, whenever you go to sleep at night, your mind just keep reminding of those unfinished tasks, but not the tasks which haven't started yet. This is what exactly the Zeigarnik effect.
So it's like when a task is not started, then we don't bother to think about it. And if a task is already finished, right, our mind just like shuts off. That is none of my business already.
Just like after the exams.
Yeah.
After exams, students will tend to forget every knowledge that they have tried to memorize before it. So actually, we don't have to finish a task immediately. However, we just need to get something done first. For example, if you want to write an article, just start with the title. Once you have started the title, then continue with the first sentence of your whole article. So I think if you really have no right mood to start, right, then you just start with the title, then finish one sentence. I think you get your job done already. Then the next part, you just leave it to your brain. Your brain will tell you what to do. Either you want to continue with the next one, or you have to rest. For some people, after they complete the first sentence, right, their brain will urge them to finish because they have already started. Then what's the point? They just stop there and then continue the other day. But for some people, right, the brain will urge them to go rest since they've done this part. Then after the rest, they will continue to write the second sentence and so forth.
By the end of the day, what you are going to do is not to finish a task immediately, but you can left your task unfinished halfway through. This way, you can activate the Zeigarnik effect so that it will urge you to do it, to complete it as soon as possible. So in this way, you won't find people forcing you to complete the stuff that you haven't done or you haven't even started yet.
100%. So the next point is very, very, very important. Write this down. If you have an idea of doing something or just receive a new task, do it right away. However, if you are currently occupied by something else, do as soon as you can, because your brain will again create the dopamine when you just receive something new. You have the urge or you are willing to explore new things.
Okay, this one, it actually sounds very interesting because I have got this similar situation just last night. I was already on the bed, I was going to sleep, but I suddenly thought of some good idea for my business. So what did I do? I just straight away woke up and I took up my phone and then start writing down the ideas that I have. Because if I don't write down the ideas at that time, definitely this will disappear the next day I wake up. Yeah, so the key thing is like to do immediately whenever you receive something or you have got an idea.
Yes, and before I did the study, actually I feel very strange because whenever I receive a new assignment from my teacher, I always get it done right away. Then the task will be completed very, very fast, maybe within a few hours. However, if I delayed it, for example, I really, really want to build my own social media. I want to build it to have a lot of followers, but I just keep procrastinate. However, after the few days, although this task is very interesting or very important to me, but I just don't feel like I want to start because I have been delaying. Then my brain will just let me delay and delay again until I really have a deadline or whatever, but I don't have. So I won't get started at all.
So initially, when you have got the idea or the task you wanted to do, this dopamine is released. It is on a high amount, so you feel urged to do that. But if you don't do that, you keep delaying that amount of dopamine, it will decrease, and eventually, you just don't feel like doing it at all.
Yes, from a scientific angle is that because when you newly receive a task, right, then your brain will release dopamine for you. Then the thing is still new to you, so you don't mind explore it further. However, if you keep delaying, right, then the dopamine will eventually fade. Then the task switches from exciting to effortful when you want to do it.
Got it. So this is applicable to the things that are new, right? When you have got new idea, when you receive new instructions, new projects. But how about something that is quite repetitive, like during work, right? Some people, they have been working for the same thing every single day. So how to avoid that kind of boredom at work to keep the productivity?
So the first thing that you must avoid is scrolling social media.
Okay, that is interesting.
Because this is a big no-no when you go in your social media, then you will start there for the whole day. Then you don't need to work after this.
Yeah, I think it's because when you think that, oh, I'm so bored at my work, I'm so tired at my work, I want to rest. So you go to scroll the social media, you think you are resting, but in fact you are not. First of all, your eyes are still straining because you are looking at the screen. Then secondly, like your brain will kind of be excited about what is the next content that is going to be shown to you. So both physically and mentally, you are not resting. You are wasting even more energy that will lead to more boredom, being unproductive at work afterwards.
So you need to find other alternatives for you to break the boredom. Instead, you can maybe have a walk outside of your working area. For example, if you're working in an office on your own desk, then maybe you can walk around, you can go toilet, or you want to go other places to rest for a while. Or you can actually also do something that makes you feel better.
I recall this last time when I was in another office that was like much bigger office space. So what I did was that I just did like 1 hour of deep work, and after I've done that part of the work, I just went out to the toilet. And after I went to the toilet, I didn't go back to work. I just like walk around the entire campus, the entire space. There is a park, a garden. There are some other office rooms around. So I just walk no matter what. Yeah, so after I worked for about 15 minutes, I came back to work. I feel like so refreshed. And then I'm so motivated to do the next thing again.
Then if you have a very limited space for you to walk around, no worries. You can always maybe go to chit chat with your colleagues, with your friends, to refresh your mind. Or if you would like to do so, you can also make a drink for yourself. Maybe make a tea or coffee, or just simply do some stretching also.
Okay, so mean to say, I don't have a lot of spaces. I can just like do some stretching on the chair like that.
Yes. Also, if you feel interested or you don't know how to do stretching, we can also attach a small video after this podcast to teach you how to stretch as well, so that you can just follow along. Then also, although we ask you to walk around, to chit chat with your friends, or to do some stretching, or even make a drink for yourself, you need to be mindful of the time. We are not asking you to take a 30 minutes, 1 hour break for yourself. Even though I know sometimes you feel very bored, you just want to get rid of these things. But you need to get things done eventually. After your work, you need to have a rest. And after the rest, you need to go back to your work. Maybe we suggest you to take only about 10 to 15 minutes after 90 minutes of the focus work.
Yes, that is crucial because when you rest for too long, your brain will start to shut off. Then it will become more lazy for you to continue.
Then you have to differentiate lazy and tired also. Lazy is that you still feel energetic, but you don't feel like working. Then that's the time you can go to have a walk, chit chat with your friends. Then another aspect is that you feel very tired. You don't feel like doing anything else. Then that's the time your unconscious mind will actually take over your conscious mind. Then you will start scrolling your social media. So you have to set a very strict rule for yourself, saying no, you cannot touch your phone during your working hours. Then the best way for you to recharge when you actually feel tired is through a nap. It's not through social media, because as what Daniel mentioned earlier, scrolling social media will make you feel even more tired. You're not resting. You're just switching your focus into another thing.
And sometimes I don't know whether you have got this kind of feeling. If I've got this kind of feeling, always is that when I'm so tired already, then when I'm scrolling social media, right, I wasn't expecting anything else. I was like so tired. I was not interested in any content anymore. I just feel so tired, but I just keep scrolling. So that is the kind of situation that you want to avoid. If you are really tired, just close your eyes, take a nap on the table to make sure that your brain have a true rest.
It's just like your laptop gets too hot sometimes, then you need to restore your laptop, or you need to just switch it off for a while for it to rest. So it's not that your laptop is very hot already, then you jump from your work to YouTube, to any other social media. So taking a nap is actually the best way for your brain to recharge. You intentionally give maybe 10 to 15 minutes or even 20 minutes for your brain to rest, to let it calm down. Then you have more energy to do your work after it. It's like the turbo effect when you're playing a game.
But what if someone is that they cannot rest truthfully? They just keep thinking about work when they are taking a nap. Then what to do about that?
I would say very simple. You can just close your eyes, then try not to think about things. If you really cannot stop yourself from thinking other things, right, then you just focus on your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. You just focus every moment when you breathe.
And I would suggest to set a timer, let's say 15 minutes. Then during that 15 minutes, you don't think about like what's the time left now. You just focus on your breathing. Then until the timer start to ring, then you will wake up energized.
Then if your working place is so nice to employees, equipped with those massage chair, right? Why not you just utilize it?
But this one, right, it is not so commonly happening in the Eastern world, right? In Asian culture, the boss don't like us to take a rest, even though it is your rest time. But if they see you, sleeping on the table, they will judge you from inside.
I would say stop thinking about what others will judge you, because you have the responsibility to make sure you provide the best contribution to your company, right? So you rest is not because of yourself that you want to rest, but it's that you want to make sure you produce the best quality of work to your organization. That's why you rest. So stop thinking about how others will judge you. It's not necessary for you to think about it.
Exactly. So let's say after I have already taken a nap, I don't scroll social media, but I still feel quite bored at my work because it is kind of like repetitive every day. So what else can I do?
So that one is, I have a very small trick for you. Let me tell a story back to my primary school time. We always need to revise the vocabulary when we first learn a word or a sentence. Then we need to write it for maybe 10 times for us to get familiarized with it. It's a homework actually. Then many of us actually hate to do so because it's a very thick workbook. Then we have a lot of pages inside full of those vocabulary. Then each of the vocab we need to write it for 10 times. It's so boring. Then our teacher actually warned us for not complete it earlier before she gave us the task. Only when she gave us, then only we can complete the portion that she instruct us to do. Then me and my friends actually start a very mini challenge of ourselves. So we'll tell each other, let's compete, see who gets things done faster. Although we don't set a prize for the winner, but we actually enjoy ourselves so much because it's the time when a boring task turns to some game which is fun.
So the thing is, you want to turn something that is repetitive, boring into something interesting, right? Is kind of like not focusing on the task itself, but focusing on other things. For example, the competition, the time limitation that you had between you and your friends.
Yes, when you have a group of friends who are doing the same thing as you can just challenge each other with the timer, see who gets things done faster. But if you're just doing it alone, you can also set a timer for yourself and tell yourself that if you finish within that time frame, then you can give yourself some little bonus. For example, buy yourself a cup of drink that you love, or just treat yourself with some favorite lunch that you like.
Yeah, or just compete with yourself on different times. So you record how long does it take for you to complete this task today. Then for tomorrow, if you can complete it a little bit faster than today, then you get some rewards.
That's a good way also because it's like breaking your own record. Then after you have got everything done, right, do you think you will just call it a day?
For typical employees, yes, as long as the time is up, no, bye bye, I 照了.
It's like, oh my god, so happy because after 8 hours of work, then finally you can go home, you can do your favorite things. But I tell you, no, this is not the correct way. Instead, you're just one step away. Before I call it a day, you actually need to list down the tasks that you need to complete on the next day for you to remind yourself when you come to the office on the next day. So you need to write down exactly the first thing that you need to do, the task that you need to complete when you arrive at office.
Yeah, if you can make it more clearer, it is better for your productivity the next day. So instead of saying, I need to record a podcast tomorrow, you can write specifically, I want to set up the scene first. Then next, I want to read the script. Then next, to do with the recording and so on.
Yes, that's what we have mentioned earlier, which will help you a little bit with your motivation. Then I'm not really sure whether everyone is the same, but when you first come to the office on the day, you arrive already, but you have no idea what to do. Then we'll start to make your breakfast, make a coffee, then switch on your laptop. But you still don't know what to do yet because you have no mood. If you never list your things down, then you eventually start to scroll social media, start to things that is not relatable to your work, which is quite bad, and it affects your productivity as well. So the more you scroll your phone, the more you don't want to work. We really want to avoid this. So the best way for you to do this is actually just write a to-do list, especially the first task that you need to do when you come to the office before you go back home.
And the other tip that I have been using is this. After you have got the to-do list ready, you know what's the first thing to do, then you can open up the tab or your laptop screen with that exactly the thing that you are going to do the next day. So for me, right, some of my days, right, I wanted to wake up in the morning, and the first thing in the morning is that I want to read an ebook. So I will go to my phone and open up the ebook and then just turn off the phone. So the next day when I turn on that screen of the phone, it is exactly the book, and then I can start reading right away. So I don't need to go to the app, choose the book, go to that table of contents, everything.
That's a great idea because I read the book and the author suggests that if you don't have a very clear plan of what you really need to do, from which page you want to start reading from, then your brain will tell you, no, you don't have to do this. You'll start procrastinate. So if you have a very clear idea of what you need to do first, then you will get started very easily.
The key is make the effort as less as possible the next day morning if you want to do something. Because you want to do the setup, everything, it takes effort. And our brain hates to put in an effort. So we will just go and scroll the social media or just simply check some emails and so on, because that one doesn't require much of the brain power.
Yeah, no offense, but it's human nature. We always love to be lazy. We love to do things that don't need a lot of effort. We need to do easy tasks.
But that kind of thinking, it won't make us grow.
Yep. So by the end of the day, being productive is not just sitting there, cross your leg, just waiting for the motivation to come to you.
Because the motivation, it won't usually comes every single time that you want to do something. So the key is just make some small moves along the way, and then you will get to keep up and get your work done.
So make your brain to do its work by starting from a very small action. If you think this episode is useful for you to beat your procrastination, feel free to like it or share with a friend who actually needs this, or maybe subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Stay tuned. Bye!